36 years after a teenage vanished, her family received a cryptic note about a Vatican tomb. A mysterious message referring to a Vatican grave was delivered to the family of Emanuela Orlandi, a teenage girl who disappeared 36 years prior. This promising lead was the first in nearly 40 years, which gave the family hope for answers. The hint directed them to look in the direction that the angel is pointing. 2 ancient graves were uncovered after the detectives were directed to a cemetery in Vatican City by this tip. However, this finding had an unexpected result. Emanuela was born in 1968 and raised inside the boundaries of the Vatican City. Her absence, however, destroyed the sense of security for her family. One of the most puzzling mysteries in contemporary Holy See history is Emanuela, who was the daughter of a lay employee of the Vatican. Emanuela vanished without a trace on June 22, 1983, after attending an instrument class in Rome. She was supposed to return home, but she never did. Since 1983, the authorities have been perplexed by the intriguing case, which has been made more perplexing by reported sightings and conspiracy theories. Several other church scandals, including those involving the Rome's dark underworld, and Pope John Paul II's attempted assassination, have been linked to her disappearance. Due to this, there have been many false leads and red herrings, which has complicated the case for the investigators. When Emanuela's brother accused Vatican officials of lacking transparency and cooperation in the inquiry in 2019, the matter took a frightening new turn. He thought the Vatican knew something about what happened to his sister. Emanuela had been late on the day that the team vanished. She reportedly requested her brother Pietro to go with her, but he declined, unfortunately a decision that would stay with him for a long time. The last confirmed sighting of her was at a bus stop in central Rome. After that, the teenager seemingly vanished off the face of the earth. Then, in the days that followed Emanuela's disappearance, other reports of the youngster were reportedly made. Meanwhile, a few days after Emanuela vanished, one of the first conspiracies emerged. Her parents claim that an anonymous person got in touch with them and offered to give them their daughter back. Mehmet Ali Agca, who was behind bars at the time for attempting to slaughter Pope John Paul II in 1981, had to be freed. But once more, this lead proved to be worthless. However, when he subsequently revealed to Italian television RAI that Emanuela was still alive, the story grew more complex. Strangely, the assassin claimed to know the whereabouts of the missing youngster and said that she was safe and residing in a convent. A creepier story about what had happened to Emanuela gained popularity in 2005. The young teen was allegedly kidnapped at Cardinal Lugo Poletti's request, according to a tip that was apparently sent to an Italian investigator by an unidentified person. Maria, Emanuela's mother, still resides in the Holy City today, but Pietro has become suspicious of the Vatican and claims that its employees were not open and honest about the inquiry. Pietro was frustrated by the fact that the Vatican never cooperated with the investigators or with our relatives. They have always disputed any potential obligations within the Vatican and said that nothing was hidden while giving everything they had. After seeing Pope Francis in 2013, Pietro reportedly began to believe that the Vatican is aware of Emanuela's abduction. He clarified that Francis had told him that Emanuela was in heaven. It froze Pietro's blood to hear a pope say that. Pietro claims that he made repeated attempts to get in touch with the holy figurehead in order to learn more, but to no effect. The Vatican was once again mentioned in 2018. The Orlando family got a tip-off in the form of a picture of a religious statue and a note with it. The enigmatic message finally directed the hunt for Emanuela to 2 tombs inside a tiny cemetery inside Vatican City after the clue perplexingly urged to look where the angel is pointing. The Teutonic Cemetery is the name of the location, which lies adjacent to St. Peter's Basilica. The graveyard is the ultimate resting place for German-speaking Catholics, although despite its prominent location and a Swiss guard is said to keep watch over its elaborate gates. The tip-off then required the Orlando family to obtain authorization from the Vatican in order to view the graves described. They had little optimism, particularly in light of reports that Pietro had attempted to talk with Pope Francis but had been rejected. But after close to a year of campaigning by Emanuela's family, the Vatican finally agreed to exhume the tombs. However, the hunt began in July 2019. Any remains found during the hunt would be subjected to DNA testing, the findings of which would reportedly take weeks to come in. Pietro believed that the exhumation signaled a change in the Vatican's attitude. The Teutonic cemetery tombs were actually found to be totally vacant. Strangely, none of the two princesses who were said to be buried there had any relics in the crypts. Surprisingly, the remains of German nobility Princess Charlotte Frederica of Mecklenburg and Princess Sophie von Hohenlohe were never discovered. However, search workers did find two vaults, which are tiny rooms used for interment. However, the tale did not finish there. The graves of the two princesses were discovered to be empty, proving that the vaults did, in fact, hold human remains. The Vatican has hypothesized that the bones in the crypts could have been moved during construction work in the 1960s and 1970s. Emanuela's family is still in a precarious situation, despite how the mystery surrounding the bones may seem. They don't seem any closer to learning what happened to their loved one, after all. Pietro, though, continues to hold out hope that Emanuela will someday be discovered alive. He is still anticipating his sister's return.